Hohl bei Philipp Winkler.
This is not a book for the faint-hearted. This debut novel is about beating people up and being beaten. About soccer fans who are out of control, hooligans who meet for rumbles outside stadiums.
Warum diese Gewalt?
Why this violence? Why do people do it?
Wie kommt man
When
dazu?
does it start?
Also welchen Background
What background does someone have or have to
vielleicht
become a part of this scene?
reinzukommen?
Hool is the story of an outsider Heiko. His father is an alcoholic, his mother ran off, abandoning the family. Heiko has failed his school-leaving exams twice. All he has is anger and rage. All he thinks he's capable of is fighting and organizing fights.
Ich spucke meinen Zahnschutz in die Hand. Verklebt mir die Handfläche mit Blut. Mein Gesicht pulsiert in heißem Schmerz. Ich sehe zu Ulf auf. Hoffentlich gibt's noch eine zweite Runde.
The tone of the novel is as rough as Heiko's substitute family, the hooligans themselves.
Die meiste Arbeit an der Sprache war
Most of the work, when it came to the language, was to find a balance, to keep it from going too far in a verbal, idiomatic direction, but also to avoid sounding too literary and artificial.
und zu künstlich klingt.
Bit by bit, Philipp Winkler put together a psychogram of a young man who can't find words to express his feelings. Instead, Heiko expresses himself with violence. Hool doesn't shy away from pain, while also revealing a yearning for love, friendship and family.
Wiederfahrenes or Encounter bei Bodo Kirchhoff.
A man and a woman. He has retired from publishing, she's given up her hat shop. Two lonely people in their 50s meet and spontaneously decide to take a trip together.
Das sind zwei Menschen, die ein Stück aus der Zeit
It seems as if time has left these two people behind. But together they experience something that abruptly catapults them into the here and now.
in unsere Zeit hineinstößt.
They travel further and further to the southernmost tip of Italy. And suddenly they discover something that they no longer expected: love.
Wo wären wir ohne etwas Selbstüberschätzung? Jeder wäre nur in seinem Gehäuse, ein Flüchtling vor dem Leben.
But then current reality bursts into their idyllic world. They come across a girl begging. Is she a refugee? They decide to take her along with them, a dire mistake. And they find out that their dream of a happy family life was just an illusion.
Für mich kam es darauf an, eine Parabel zu
I
erzählen.
wanted to tell a parable. Within limited space and with minimal means, I wanted to tell a tale about what the wider world does with us, about how our private lives and the public world don't go together.
nicht zusammengeht.
Bodo Kirchhoff's novel depicts two people setting off on an adventure and failing within the space of 4 days. But in the end, they're given a chance to begin anew.
Ein langes Jahr or A Long Year bei Eva Schmidt.
How does one capture everyday life? A sense of all that surrounds us, the ordinary moments that make up our lives. That is what Eva Schmidt attempted to do in Ein langes Jahr, her first novel in 19 years.
There were just so many other things going on in a very large, complicated family, and I just didn't have the frame of mind to write. Other things were more important. Life was more important.
Set in a single city, the lives of its inhabitants intertwine in the book. 38 episodes depict overwhelmed parents, drinkers and dreamers who all reside in a dreary high-rise housing complex.
Ein Wohnblock reihte sich an den anderen, dazwischen Wege. Die Hausnummern waren auf die Fassaden gemalt, in riesigen Ziffern und unterschiedlichen Farben. Die Hauseingänge verstellt mit Müllcontainern, Fahrrädern, Gerümpel.
People live in close proximity, but yet somehow unconnected. Their eyes meet in the stairwell or across balconies, the gaze of intimate strangers.
There
are a lot of very lonely people. That's probably why so many of them have dogs. At some point I thought, there are too many dogs, I can't have that. But then I wasn't able to leave any of them out.
Ich konnte dann einfach keinen weglassen.
That's what characterizes Eva Schmidt's writing. It doesn't need much, and yet has it all. And not a single detail can be excluded. It's summer, it's hot, and there's lots of free time. It's 1985 in Andrei Kubitschek's novel, and a group of young boys drifts through a short summer of anarchy in the middle of a prefab residential tract.
Vacation time is not the norm, especially in this book, because the hero gets to enjoy his vacation without any supervision. He has a lot of money, too. He doesn't get much better than that for a 16-year-old. It's a story about growing up, trying to find your way, and falling in love.
Girls play a role, of course, especially a girl with no name. Longing, love, friendship. That's what the summer of '85 is about. And the right music. Although not everything is sweetness and sunshine.
Kein Wunder, dass einen dann die Melancholie anfiel, wie ein blutrünstiger Schwarm Moskitos. Keine Ahnung, wer zuerst zu wem kam. Die Melancholie zu mir oder ich zur Melancholie. Aber eines stand fest, seit einem Jahr war sie da und das andere, sie ging seitdem nicht mehr weg, nicht mehr freiwillig.
This is an intense book about first love and hearts running wild in a country that would cease to exist just a few years later, East Germany.
Actually, East Germany plays only a minor role. It's shown the way a young person would have seen it back then, as perfectly ordinary.
In the end, the girl gets a name and the boy overcomes his melancholy, at least until the end of the summer. Andrei Kubitschek tells his story in a laid-back style and without any false sentiment.
Die Welt im Rücken, or The World at Your Back by Thomas Meller.
How does one endure the abyss of depression and the sensory overload of being manic? In his novel Die Welt im Rücken, Thomas Meller has written about his bipolar disorder and his struggle against shame, fear, and delusion.
I simply had to write this because my whole life and all my writing were determined by this disorder. I had to wipe the slate clean.
Der Wahnsinn ist ein Vorgang, kein Zustand. Und er kann Stunden dauern oder Wochen oder Monate. Ich sitze da oder bin ein Gegenstand. Ich gehöre nicht mehr zur Klasse der Menschen, sondern zu der unbelebten Gegenstände, Dinge, Objekte. Ich bin aus Holz, aus Stahl, aus Plastik. Meine Adern sind Kabel. Ich kann nichts mehr spüren, außer Trauer.
In his manic phases, he believes he has slept with Madonna and sees messages everywhere. Everything seems to speak to him. We experience both his highs and lows. Writing is a form of exorcism, a way of restoring some hope.
I try to do everything I can with language, to turn on the great manic machine without becoming manic myself. You just have to accept the fear. It grabs a hold of me again and again, even while I was writing this book.
This book shouts out, "This is how it was with me, and I hope that it will never be that way again."
Ich meinte schon nach der zweiten Manie, eine dritte würde ich nicht überleben. Habe ich aber, würde ich wieder. Ich mag mich wieder umbringen wollen, irgendwann. Dann werde ich dennoch weiterleben.
Fremde Seele, dunkler Wald, or Dark Forest, Foreign Soul by Reinhard Kaiser Mühlecker.
Reinhard Kaiser Mühlecker writes about the present, but his books seem as though they're from the past. He's a farmer's son from Upper Austria, and his latest novel is called Fremde Seele, dunkler Wald.
The world I try to write about, again and again, is one that I know very well. It's one that I grew up in, and that I think very few people are familiar with.
The rustic world of a farm worked for several generations is hardly idyllic. A father sells off the family land piece by piece. The grandfather revels in playing the patriarch, and two brothers are stuck in the middle of it all.
Hin und wieder dröhnte es von der Autobahn her, ansonsten war es sehr ruhig. Ja, die Stille war sogar fast unheimlich, als wäre das Unwetter vom Vorabend nicht einfach bloß ein Unwetter, sondern eine Züchtigung gewesen, die über sie hereingebrochen war.
The characters are imprisoned by their background and their religion. They leave, but they never make any progress. Everywhere there is silence and emotional emptiness as modern life rushes past the family.
You only have one language, just as you only have one family background, and you don't get to choose it.
But you can capture people and landscapes in words. Reinhard Kaiser-Mühlecker does so with precision and without romanticizing anything.